Hi, and welcome to this interview here on the Author Acceleration Academy YouTube channel. I have with me today one of the Broken Chapters authors, and this is one of our Broken Chapters author interview series videos. And I'm excited to welcome my friend, Eileen Noyes. Welcome, Eileen.
Hi, Krista. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. Looking forward to chatting with you on your session here, your interview. And you and I in Broken Chapters kind of round out the book. You're chapter 20, I'm chapter 21. And by the way, if you don't know what Broken Chapters is, this is a book that is a multi-author project that was from 2023, and it's called Broken Chapters, 21 Testimonies of How God Rewrites Our Life Stories. And each author just has a chapter that talks about something that, it was a difficult situation, a hard season, issues, struggles, challenges that we all face in life. And how God showed up in it, we saw God work in it in a big way, as he does when we hand things over to him and trust him and look to him. So, okay, I would love, Eileen, to just read a little bit of your bio as we get going. So,
I'm reading it, or you're reading it?
Oh, I can read it.
Yeah. Okay. So am I going to? I can read it, but are we going to the book, right?
We will be chatting about the book, yes. But first, I just want to read a little bit of your bio and help people know kind of who you are a little bit more. So you're an author, you're a speaker, you're a coach, you're a wife, you're a mom, and you are someone who is really just fully stepping into your calling in this season. You founded a group and a community of women called Lady Bellator. And it's just a mentorship for high profile women and actually other women in general who are feeling like maybe their voices have been not heard, or they're standing on the sidelines, or they need to come out of the shadows and step into their calling and their destiny and who God made them to be. And you are actually a mom of 8 children, and you live in California with your husband Michael, and you have combined 15 children, and so you're a busy woman. I just love all the things that you're doing, and you have books that you've written besides participating in Broken Chapters that I would love for you to tell us about. As at the end of the interview, let us know more about those if you would. So I just really like you, Eileen. You're just great.
Oh, I like you too.
I just see you as somebody who just steps out, and you're somebody who's on a mission. You have a mission, you have a message. And also you were formerly in the NFL world. Your previous husband was an NFL player, and that has given you some very unique experience in life. And you talk about some of that in your chapter 20, God's Voice of Truth. Again, is the title of that. And so why was it that you wanted to participate in the Broken Chapters book and write what you wrote about and that particular slice of your journey in life?
So many things. Well, one, it's so funny because like as I'm talking to Krista, like I would say that right now she's probably almost like a daily. She's one person I almost daily have contact with, just because she's my editor. She helps me, just kind of process things. So the fact that Krista was involved with this, and then looking at the other authors, for me, I just was about to finish my book. I just thought this would be just kind of riding the wave of like, this is good. This is good momentum for me. This is good for me to learn, to grow, to get her, wisdom as she is doing parts of, just like teaching.
Okay, we're back. We had a little
Yeah.
video issue there, so continue, Eileen.
Yeah, forgive me. I'm in the mountains, so that's the one. I love where we live, but the reception's not the best. So I was saying that yeah, so joining this project, I just felt like it was just good momentum. And then also, you know, stepping into the prophetic, like understanding like, okay, part of the prophetic is not only hearing it and, you know, going, okay, yeah, I think that's true. It's coming into agreement with it and stepping into that. And so when this opportunity came up, broken chapters, it's like I totally felt that. And I totally, in telling my story and in going through what I went through, my biggest thing was like, God, if I have to go through this, get glory. Like, I don't want the devil taking more than he already did and stealing from my family, breaking down my family. So it was just this thing to almost like combat what the devil was trying to bring my way. Like, no, like good is going to come out of this, and I'm going to share my story. I'm going to share God's goodness. So that's really, you know, when it came along, it was almost like a no-brainer. Like, let's do this.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, your story is definitely powerful, and I feel like as you were telling it in the broken chapters, and like you mentioned, I've helped you with some of your other book projects too. And I'm currently helping you with some more. You do have a theme in there that does talk about like stop believing the lies, identify the lies, and really replace them with God's truth. And I feel like your chapter has a lot of that theme in it, which obviously people deal with that. We deal with that.
Oh.
And so what would you say to somebody who, you know, what do you want to talk about when it comes to not believing lies?
You know, so my book talks about the lies that that someone was telling me, someone I love deeply. And you know, there's that we have to combat. But as I'm working with you and as I'm seeing like in a sense of research of like women in general, we tell ourselves lies. Yeah, it's the devil, but there's also lies that we tell. And I just have noticed, and I just see as a whole that there's different lies that we believe that mute us. You know, it's just things like, you know, I'm seeing that, you know, if I talk to women with children, they say, well, I don't have a job, or I don't have this title, or I don't have the freedom to do, you know, someone who's out there having a job. I've talked to women who are married and they don't have kids, and they feel like, well, I don't have kids, so I feel, you know, kind of left out. And so there's either the insecurities of women that we speak on ourselves to put these limits and disqualifications. And at the same time, when we see someone doing it, when we see someone succeeding because of those insecurities, then we start criticizing, or we start like, you know, putting other women down. So there's all these things that just keep us from like really living out who we're called to be. And so I think the first thing is to answer your question, knowing God, one. And then when I say knowing God, it's like really pursuing him, because as we pursue him, as we pursue his word, as we seek him out, it says that he is faithful to answer. And so for my experience, knowing and truly like, and it was almost like I had no choice. I mean, in the situation that I was in, it was either I be mad at God or I run to him and I, you know, like press into him to get me through. And that's what I did. And as hard as that situation was, I have no regrets, because to know God in the depth and the intimacy that I know him, like nothing compares. And so knowing him allows me to believe what he says about me. And that's the other thing. It's like so many of us, like we you know, we put our trust in God, and we know that God is all these things, but then we doubt what he's saying about us. And so that, you know, my story is really having to go, okay, I'm being told by someone who I love, who I respect, he's telling me all these things. Wait, but what does God say about me? And if what this person is saying is not lining with what God's saying, I am no longer receiving it. And I mean, it was a process. I mean, if you're hearing me boldly and strongly saying this, but during that time, it's like, oh my gosh, do I really suck as a wife? Am I really that bad? You know, like I mean, I really felt in my darkest moments that that God didn't hear me, that my prayers were in vain, that I needed to basically perform for God's ear and God's heart to hear me. So just a lot, but I'd say, knowing God and then knowing, like, learning and pursuing who you are in him, that's the starting process of getting you through to really, like, drown out the lies of the world, because there's a lot of lies.
There sure are. And I guess if you know God's voice of truth, then you can more readily identify the lies and realize, like, you hear the story about the bank tellers who get used to the real money so they can tell the counterfeit money. And so when you know the truth of who God says you are and his word and what's right and his ways, and then, knowing his voice, then you can realize, oh, I realize what that just was.
Yes.
That was not true. And I love how you said, I could either just decide to be mad at him and run away from him, or I could run toward him. I really think that's powerful. And I think there are probably days in our lives where we're doing a little bit of both, if we're honest.
Right.
And just like, God, I'm trusting you. I'm praying. I'm believing that this is gonna, happen, or you're gonna move in this situation, but then you're not seeing the movement yet. And that can be a really challenging place to be. And so what would you say to somebody who's like in that spot right now? They're like in the middle. They're in the waiting. They're in the spot where they're not seeing the movement, but they're really trying to hold on to hope and hold on to God's promises.
Well, so I talk about that in my book. I talk about the promises of God, and I talk about, like, our spirits. So, we're body, soul, which is mind, will, emotions, and spirit. And we have to train our spirits to lead our emotions and our flesh, versus the other way around. I mean, usually it is the other way around. If we're hungry, we'll go get food. If I know, for me, if I have an emotion, it's like, I almost, oh my gosh, this person got me mad, or I need to confront it. And so to train my spirit to lead those two other parts of me is big. And so I would say, like, for me, it's like, it didn't matter if I felt it or if I was seeing it, like, to verbalize, thank you, Lord, that this morning, let's put this way, I was praying with my kids, and thanking God for things that, if any of them, because they know me, they know me enough to go, like, mom is speaking truth, even though we may not see it yet. If they didn't know that, they'd be like, Mom, that's not true. And no, it's not like that. But I pray and I say, thank you, God, that this person is doing this. And so to speak life and to speak what God's word says, outside of what we see, or outside of what we feel, or outside of what we believe, that shifts things. It's powerful. Like, God has given us, like, the ability, just because we're creating his image, to speak life. And so I think that until you understand it, I think our words are very flippant. We don't realize the power, whether positively or negatively, that our words, have. So.
Yeah, that's very true. I took notes on a couple of things that you just said. I was like, oh, that's so good. Train your spirit to lead and not give in to what your flesh wants to do, what your soul thinks, or what direction, all those. That's a really powerful key. And then speak truth before you see it. Oh man. Yeah, if we could just kind of keep that top of mind on a daily basis. Speak truth before we see it. I love that thought so much. Yeah. So, okay. We could go in all kinds of directions from here. What's something about, like, lies and and God's voice and God's promises. And what's something that lately he's showing you, or a situation, or just a new kind of key, or something that you're writing in your upcoming book too, that really just speaks to this, that you can carry forward? Like, what do you see women, you mentioned that sometimes we are hard on ourselves, or sometimes we are hard on other people as well, but then we can be influenced by other people who have lies that they want to try to pile upon us, toward us too. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there are women out there who aren't even recognizing yet the lies that they're believing, that they're maybe even, maybe they didn't believe them at first, but it was such a barrage of repetition, and now they're kind of have adopted it for themselves. Yeah.
Gosh, that's
What's your heart for those people?
that is so deep. I mean, that requires, like, depending on you where you are, there's such healing that needs to take place. If I was to say, in regards to where I'm at and what I'm doing, and the consistent theme is, I just actually heard it this morning. It's like God's, how does he put it? It was Michael Dalton, but like, things were, sorry,
You're good.
okay. Yep. He was saying that the kingdom is voice activated. And so, like, our voice, like I said, like, God spoke the world into existence, and we're created in his image. And so we have, like, that power. And so it's interesting because for me, I just look at our voice and the ability to speak as such strategy, like, coming from where I came from. So, it was basically in a situation where I really felt like I had no say. And, like, as God was strengthening me to say, okay, this is who you are. And then I go into singleness. I kind of, like, I was like, okay, I felt empowered. And in my singleness, there's a song, it's called Brand New Me. And it's talking about, like, hey, I'm stronger, like, I'm not going to take what I took before, what I endured before. And that was, like, almost like a mantra in my singleness. But as I stepped into marriage again, that mantra didn't work. It was causing problems because I became almost like, I was still submissive, but it was like, okay, I'm giving attitude to my husband. Like, I'm not honoring him in this context because I am like, I'm not going to take that. Like, it didn't work. And so I'm seeing that, yes, I have a voice. God has given me a voice, but I can use it strategically. So when I say strategically in terms of my spouse, I either go to God or I go to my husband, because I can do both. So if I go to God and I'm like, hey, Lord, here's the deal, but I praise you. I thank you for who he is. Same thing with my kids. It's like, we have the power to say stuff, but it's like, okay, is this going to be effective? And even speaking, like I tell my kids this, when they're sick, they'll say, because our words are powerful, oh, I'm so sick and I feel this and I feel that. And like, hey guys, you know what? Like, you know how you feel. I can see how you feel, but let's thank God that you're healed. So it's like, it's just, again, it's like those words are powerful, that we keep pressing and we keep saying the truth, because the truth is we're healed and we're whole. Jesus, he did all that on the cross. But the more that we say it, faith comes by hearing. So we start hearing it, but we also are changing and shifting, because that's just the power that we have, the authority we have to speak life. And so I feel like for me right now, strategy is very big with my voice.
The voice activated kingdom. That's a powerful thought. That, yeah. What can we say? We're not powerless. We actually have our voice that we can use to change things. And you know what? Something that I felt like God was talking to me about last week was that sometimes miracles don't happen all at once. Like we have to also persevere with our like holding on to hope and holding on to his promises. Like every miracle is not always an instantaneous, immediate thing. It can be in process, and it can be in stages and in pieces too. So yeah.
Can I add to that? I want to add,
Yeah,
so you're saying that, like, I think another thing with women, I know for me, like, and this probably has to do with like having a lot of kids and always feeling like, okay, I got to get to the next thing. I have to force myself or remind myself to celebrate little victories. Like, and these are big victories. I mean, like, I just finished my book, and instead of like, I mean, I kind of did, you know, like, this is awesome. But it's like, okay, what I gotta get to the next thing. You know, it's like I'm not I'm not like, allowing myself to celebrate the victories and to be thankful, and like it's so women don't do that enough. And so what you're just talking about, it's like things like celebrate. It may not be that big miracle point, but hey, if you see progress, like praise God, celebrate it, like talk about it, because all that it spreads. Like our testimonies continue to, like, you know, call out for more. So yeah, that's another big thing too, is I know for me, I need to do that more. I'm always like, okay, what's next on the list? So
exactly. I can really relate to that because I feel like I'm somebody who has that list. Either it's an actual written list, or it's a mental list, or it's a yay, check that off, done. Now what is next? No, we don't always stop. We don't always stop. That's good. So, okay. As we wrap up here, this has been really good. And I would love it if you could even just talk about your books and your upcoming book and kind of what you're up to these days. That would be amazing.
Awesome. Oh gosh, I am really excited about this. So the first book I wrote, I think it was like timing, like right when Broken Chapters came out. I wrote a book, and so like it's called Sideline No More: Helping Pro-Athlete Wives Get Off the Bench, Seek Out Your God-Given Purpose. So I had written that, I think it was like almost a year ago, like right about a year. So that is super niched. It's, you know, it's hard to, you know, get it out like the normal way, you know, I guess like marketing and adding or advertisements and stuff like that. So that's a slow growing seed, which I can, thank God, I get to see little roots of, you know, like that's going, you know, that's it's producing something. And so in that book, like, because it says helping pro-athlete wives, it, like, if you're not, unless you know me, if you're not a pro-athlete wife, you have nothing to do with sports, there's not really there's no, like, why would you pick it up?
Yeah, you might not think it would for you. Yeah,
it wouldn't resonate. I mean, if you you know, kind of caught on to the high profile thing, you would. But so the people that would read it would go, oh my gosh, I think this is like not just for pro-athlete wives. So as I'm like going through, got different projects here and there, I was like, oh, you know what, like, God, like, how do I do this? And so I'm partnering with God again, and it was changing. Let me just change a sub. First, it was like, let me just change the subtitle. Let me tweak a couple of paragraphs here and there. And then as I'm going on, more of the chapters changing. As I'm getting to then, I'm like, this chapter, this is totally like this for this, what I'm doing with this current book, like, that's not relevant with this group. So it just kind of made it like a revamping of the end, which I had to go back to the intro and change all that, which made me change the title. And so yeah, just it's been a fun, like, kind of piecing the puzzle out. And so this book is called Rise Up Lady Bellator. Lady Bellator is warrior, lady is royalty. And so really it's like it's really who women are called to be. We are called to be, we are royalty, so we are part of the kingdom, and then we are warriors. And you know, it's like we're the ones who contend for our families, we're the ones who contend for our marriages. And so that's really where that name came from. And it's really stepping her up to see, what does God say about a woman? Because you have what I experienced, the brokenness of religion telling me that I'm only supposed to have babies, cook, clean, be submissive, and my salvation is contingent on how I am to my husband. And then you have the world that says, hey, this is what the world is. You're supposed to, like, go, and it doesn't matter who's around you. It's like, I hate to say it, but there's the Kardashians, as entrepreneurs, I respect them, and I can see, wow, like they're doing it, but there's missing parts. And so I want my daughter to know this. What does God say about you? God, you are called to be like, you are daughter of the king, you're daughter, you're royal, like you're a princess. You're also the bride of Christ. So whether you're single or you're married, you are a bride. You're a contending mother. You, whether you have kids or not, you are meant to nurture, to help someone spiritually, to raise them up. I mean, you know, all women are meant to do that. And then as an impact maker, entrepreneur, problem solver, those are the 4 things that God had given me, which are in this book. That it just gives her identity to say, you know what, yes, I stepping into that, even though I may not believe, even though I may not think it, to really encourage her to start walking into what she already is. So that's, yeah, it's coming out, and it's coming out very soon. I can't say anything. It's coming out very, very soon.
Very, very soon, coming soon. Yeah, I can just feel the, like, kind of the embers of fire that kind of burn in you to really help people to see who they really are. Help to, just to give them strength to get out of where they've been stuck and things like that. So I really love that. Your books definitely do that. And yeah, this Rise Up Lady Bellator, and I'm glad you explained what Lady Bellator is too. I meant to ask you that. Yeah, it is for a wider audience of women who really just feel like they have been stuck in the shadows. They have been putting their own dreams and callings on hold, or they're stuck in a place where they just don't see themselves like they need to, and how God sees them, and how to be that royal warrior who they really are. So it's so good. Okay, so if somebody wants to find out more about you, connect with you, where would you direct them?
Facebook, you know, Eileen Noyes, Instagram, Lady Bellator. So here's the thing, like ladybellator.com is it's a good thing. Like I was talking to someone, they're like, this is your version 1, you know, like you want all things to be set up all nicely. Like I'm just starting like my website, and so it's like basic, but it's like, you know what, it's okay. I want these women to see the process that I'm going through, to say, you know what, like you start here, like you may be here, you may be, you know, like we're all in different places, but I want them to see the process. So yeah, so ladybellator.com, that's how you can reach me. That's how you can get updates. That's how you can hear about the book launch, which is coming up, or the book release. So lots going on, and just different things, speaking things. I get to speak on Friday, and it will be recorded. So so you get to learn about stuff like that. So I honestly feel like in the last with all that I've learned and all that's been going on the last 2 years, I feel like it's like finally time to go, okay, like God's sake, saying, let's release, like we're doing this. And I feel like this book is a huge part of it, especially going back to Wisconsin, where all this stuff happened, where all the yucky happened. It's like we're breaking that, starting there.
Time to run.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's really exciting. Okay, well, thank you so much, Eileen. This has been wonderful chatting with you. And yeah, you and I definitely chat often with all of your book projects, which I've enjoyed very much helping you with. So, all right, ladybellator.com. And like Eileen said, it is in the beginning stages of being developed there, but check that out. Find Eileen Noyes, Noyes, on Facebook, Instagram. Yep. Okay, this has been great. Thank you so much again for joining me today.
Yes, it goes by super fast.
It does.
But yeah, thank you.
It does. It does. Okay. Well, thank you all for watching. This has been the latest edition of our Broken Chapters author interview series. Again, if you want to know more about the book Broken Chapters, you can find it in paperback and Kindle on Amazon. And we'd love to have you check that out and be encouraged. Maybe even give a copy to someone else who needs some encouragement in their life if they're going through a difficult time. this could really be something that would inspire their faith to know that God does rewrite our broken chapters. So, all right, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time, and bye for now.